right words, crafted the right way, at the right moment, will help you bring your message effectively across the table. The negotiator must be an active speaker, just as he or she is an active listener. And we've known that for thousands of years, actually. Let's remember the three levers of classical rhetoric as analyzed by Aristotle: reason, passions or emotions, and style. The speaker must develop a solid reasoning in order to convince the other. But he should also build on the right emotions in order to persuade the other. And he should choose the pertinent style in order to please the other. Now, building on these classical rules of rhetoric, let's look at 10 features of active speech that modern negotiators should keep in mind. First, active speaking is directed towards a specific audience on which it is entirely focused. Do not attempt to speak actively to someone while doing something else at the same time. Even on the phone, your interlocutor will hear that you're also watching something on your screen. Second, active speech is adapted to this audience. Talented negotiators do not address different audiences in the same way, always showing equal respect to whoever is in front of them. They try to get in tune with the other side, be they a senior civil servant or a junior sales manager. Third, active speech is always as concise as possible. Brevity is a quality. Keep it simple. Do not overflow the other with a long, boring speech. Fourth, active speech is precise and clear. Ambiguity usually leads to the wrong interpretation on the other side of the table. A British diplomat once advised me, never ever be ambiguous unless of course you want to be. It is only when you know why you should build a constructive ambiguity that you should do so. Feature number 5 is this. Active speech should be integrative. Avoid positional responses such as yes, but. Try yes, and there is also this to be considered. Instead of separating both sides of the table, you versus I, try and show you consider that you're in the same boat. We have to consider this. Number 6, active speech relies a lot on suggestions. It is better to suggest and to propose than to impose. What if we did that? If the other negotiator discovers our solution by herself, we reduce the risk that she will reject it. The 7th feature is also crucial. Active speech seeks positive framing. Several social psychology experiments, namely those of Tversky and Kahneman, have demonstrated that people are attracted by positive formulations and tend to reject negative ones, even though both formulations, positive, negative, amount to exactly the same reality. In the same vein, feature number 8, active speech focuses on opportunities to be seized rather than risks to be avoided or challenges to be overcome. Last but one feature, active speech is orientated towards the future instead of focusing on what happened in the past. The past cannot be changed. What can be shaped is the future, and that is being decided now. Now let me insist on the last feature of active speech. Avoid lying. There are 4 reasons why a negotiator should not lie. First of all, because it is unethical, and all of us have to decide which ethical standard we want to live with. Second, lying is a classic example of a pitfall I will bring your attention to in the next video, underestimating the other side of the table. If you lie to someone, you underestimate their level of information. You also underestimate the capacity to check what you're saying. And then if you get caught, consequences are massively negative. The deal is over, the relationship is broken, your reputation is in shambles. Third reason, do not lie because they could believe you. What if you pretend that you have a great plan B in order to put pressure on them and that they reply, well, okay then, we're leaving the table. Bluffing will lead you to commitments you cannot deliver. And the last reason why you should avoid lying is because there are all the tools which can help you as a negotiator and which won't backfire, such as getting properly prepared. And this will be the topic of the series of videos in module number 2. Hello. One safe way to make progress as a negotiator is to be aware of commonplace and typically wrong assumptions about what negotiation is about. Analyzing negotiations and debriefing many negotiators has helped us investigate these counterproductive assumptions. We call them pitfalls. In this video, I would like to highlight some of them so that you can keep them at a safe distance. First and foremost, a typically wrong assumption is that in negotiation, there would be nothing to learn, and therefore nothing is ever learned. Even at high level, executives tend to rely on old routines, and they do not question how they've run a negotiation in order to take some lessons learned. I advise you to take exactly the opposite view. See any important negotiation as a learning opportunity. That means that in the aftermath of a negotiation, you should take some time to analyze how you did. This post-mortem analysis is twofold. On the one hand, what went well and why? This will help you decide whether you've been good or whether you've been just lucky. And this will help you identify your strong points on which you can rely safely in your next negotiation. On the other hand, what went wrong and why? Do not fall into the usual blame game. Well, the negotiation failed because the other didn't understand how excellent we are. Now, this will help you identify your weaker points on which you'd better improve before the next negotiation. Now, depending on the importance of the negotiation, reflect on these two simple questions. Will take either a few minutes or will require a few hours. And you can do this on your own and also with colleagues. Do this in an informal manner, and it can be also excellent for team building. I strongly advise you to open on your laptop a document with a password in which, negotiation after negotiation, you will conduct this personal analysis. That is the best way you can keep on improving all your life as a negotiator. You will enter into a virtuous circle. Your analysis will help you focus on the right issues in your next preparation, thus helping you achieve better results in the negotiation to be further analyzed. Now, another popular and wrong assumption is the natural tendency we all have to underestimate the other side of the table. Well, it's way safer to take the opposite view. Your counterpart has been selected by his or her organization precisely because he or she is able and competent. So do not rush to the usual pleasant conclusions such as, well, if they don't understand, it's because they're stupid. It might be because you're not clear enough. Or, well, if they get tense and nervous, it's because they do not control their nerves. No, it might be because you do not control yours and you tend to be abrasive. A third, equally wrong assumption is to believe that negotiation is only and always pure competition. The objective is to win against the other. Well, the problem is that nobody likes being beaten by the other side. And here, let me highlight a big difference between negotiation and high-level tennis, for instance. In a tennis match, say in the 2016 final of the Roland Garros tournament in Paris, when Andy Murray realized that he was about to lose the match, he could not tell Djokovic, well, actually, you know what? I'm leaving the tennis court right now, and maybe we'll meet next year for another try. He had no choice but to lose. Negotiation is different. The side who's under the impression that the deal is not going to be good enough is able to leave the table and say, no deal. I'm not losing, and you're not winning. You see, together with my team, we've done business in over 75 countries of the world. We've never yet encountered the bizarre tribe of people who will be happy to lose so that you can win. It might be naive to think that win-win approaches are always possible, but it is certainly very naive, even infantile, to expect that the other will accept to lose so that you can win. The next wrong assumption will help you address the former. Many people believe that negotiation is only and always about concession making. They believe that it can only be a zero-sum game. What he wins, I must lose, and vice versa. Now, reality is different. As we'll discuss later in this MOOC, negotiation can help you create value. What I need, I'm not always obliged to take it from the other. I can create it with the support of the other. And the other will accept to help me on this point because she knows that I will help her do the same on another matter by way of reciprocity. That is why we need also to avoid another pitfall, to believe that there is always only one solution, and of course it's mine. Now, the game is usually more open. We need to refrain from judging too early what's good and what's not. Creativity matters in negotiation. The next pitfall is unfortunately very commonplace. A sharp preference for short-term at the expense of longer-term opportunities. Here, negotiators need to distinguish two cases. On the one hand, the so-called one-shot negotiation, a simple transaction where nobody really cares about continuing the relationship in the future. And on the other hand, the normal business situation, where the longer term matters enormously. When we have acquired a new customer, we want to keep him on the long term. When we have identified a reliable supplier, we want to secure her on the long term. Same thing with any business partner. So most negotiations have a long-term horizon, packed with opportunities which should not be lost because of short-term temptations. One more pitfall? Well, to believe that business is business, and therefore it's worth behaving like a bully in a negotiation. Well, no. Not simply because it's impolite and unethical, but also because it doesn't work so well. There's a fascinating field of research on so-called procedural justice. And basically, results point at the following conclusion. For a given proposal, people tend to accept it better if the proposal stems out of a process in which they felt respected, had a say, could voice their concerns, etc. On the contrary, the very same proposal stemming from a process they felt uncomfortable with, they will tend to reject it. So there is a premium for negotiators who manage the process in a way which is respectful of people. And the last pitfall is something we call negomania. Some people believe that everything is negotiable. Well, precisely, no. And good negotiators know how to draw the line between what's negotiable and what is not. This will be one objective of the preparation of negotiation, and that is the topic of the next module of this MOOC. For the time being, if you want to know more about these instinctive pitfalls and wrong assumptions, you may want to read chapter 1 of our book, The First Move. Good luck.